a glass of water for dinner.
I mean, this guy's out of his mind.
To celebrate his sibling's birthday.
This guy's out of his mind. He brings his own Tupperware to restaurants.
And he didn't.
Can't be trusted.
Was it tap or did you get a bottle? Like
Tap.
This guy is out of his mind.
He asked me, do you want still water?
He was like, no,
Tap.
let's.
Give me tap.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, you look great, but it's not worth it. Not worth it. Go ahead.
I don't know. Today, first things first, Dak opens the door to leaving Dallas. Is he bluffing or is he actually serious? Meanwhile, Rodgers, dark horse MVP. Is that a good thing? I'm not 100% sure. And finally, Bill Barnwell, friend of the show, takes a shot at predicting Brock's upcoming contract, $65 million a year.
No, I can't wait for this segment.
Did you read the full article? Your friend, Bill Barnwell?
I actually did read the full article, and I'll bet sight unseen,
Garrett,
you
Garrett,
did not make it through the whole thing.
I did a little.
I know it.
Did you read the whole thing?
Look at him.
Look, we're talking about
He
you
didn't
right now.
It's like
challenge
22
me.
minutes. I read several of the It's a
knew it.
chapterized article. He's like, skip
Like
the
all of
Want to
Barnwell's-
trade Rock?
Yeah.
Is he actually as
Yeah,
good? How's
I
he
read
compared
the
to
whole
Jimmy
thing
G?
while I was eating.
I may have skipped one part.
You skipped a lot.
No,
Let's just
I
start
may
the
have skipped
show.
one part.
This guy tried
I
to
skipped
say
more
to
than
me,
one
"Did
part.
you read the article?" When he didn't read the article.
You better read the whole article.
I did.
There's a lot of Brock
I
compliments in there.
understand.
A lot.
I know.
You were basically
Because
called
I
out by
read it.
name. We start with a puppet. The Raiders poked the bear with a frog wearing a Mahomes jersey. Someone also said, "I'm here," which Mahomes yelled at Max Crosby during 2022's Week 5 victory, one of his 10 wins against the Raiders. Mahomes was asked about this incident and the Raiders' antics today. Take a listen.
I know you've probably seen the video of the Raiders with the Muppet of you. Is that something that you kind of compartmentalize when you use it when you get ready to play them?
Yeah, I mean, it's still early in the year. Kind of stuff like that happens. It'll get handled when it gets handled.
I mean, here's the thing, and we don't have to spend a lot of time on this. It is, Aaron Rodgers said words can be deceiving and mean different things, but I think words and definitions matter, which is why I have a hard time saying this is a lopsided rivalry, because it has not been a rivalry in quite some time. Mm-hmm. What it has been is multi-year beatdowns, then a fluke that the team gets overly excited about that then leads to more years of beatdowns. So here is the history of Patrick versus the Las Vegas, Oakland Raiders. He beat them 4 straight times to start his career, averaging 35 points per game in those wins with 2 separate 4-touchdown games. They then finally got one and promptly took their team bus on laps around the stadium. Shortly thereafter, they had to fire their GM, fire their head coach, lost 6 more times to Patrick, where he averaged 36 points per game with a 5-touchdown and a 4-touchdown game. They then beat him one more time, got overly excited, and he then won a Super Bowl in their building, and now they're doing this. So his numbers in his career against the Raiders are, we can show it to you. I mean, there's nobody he tortures more.
30-4 is
30-4 touchdown interception. Average score is 34-19. And now, my real takeaway, Greg, is thank you. Because I was a little worried that late in the Chiefs season, they might hit a bit of a lull. They have a Week 12 game against against the Panthers. They then play a Black Friday home game against the lowly Aiden O'Connell or Gardner Minshew-led Raiders. Right after a holiday, short week, when you're not playing anybody tough. But now they won't. Because now you have somehow given Patrick Mahomes more ammunition for a team that has no business giving him any ammunition. So that was my takeaway from it, Greg.
Well, I loved it.
Oh,
really?
I did. I actually did. Whatever fan brought that to the practice, kudos to you. Because what the Raiders need is to, regardless of how someone has been treating you, beating you up, you got to show that I'm not afraid of the big bad wolf. I'm not afraid of the bully. I'm not afraid of the one who's on top. Like, this team they have to change everything. And with Antonio Pierce at the helm now, understanding, like, I'm a bully myself. I absolutely love this. They didn't shy back. I also love, on the flip side, Patrick Mahomes' response. Because if you watch that, his body didn't shift, his demeanor didn't change, nothing about him cared. And when you own someone the way that Patrick Mahomes has owned the Raiders, you dismiss it. The one thing you can do to kind of just almost disrespect someone who's disrespecting you, so not even pay them any, it's like,
yeah,
I don't care.
Right. The opposite of love isn't hate. The opposite of love is indifference or
Absolutely.
whatever. Yeah, I understand.
Past that.
Well, okay. Sorry, shut up. Go ahead.
Greg, I understand trying to take a counter take to it about, you can't be afraid of the bully. You have to fire back. And, Max Crosby right in Mahomes' face. If I made a list of all of the tough things in the world to prove that you're not afraid, far down the list, right after maybe unicorns, would be puppets. So the idea that they're like, man, we're not afraid of them. Get that puppet. That's going to work. Okay. So Antonio Pierce, I was wondering what he was going to say. He had a quote that said, we addressed it as a team yesterday and we nipped it in the bud. It's over with. Andy Reid addressed it today. Take a listen.
Is it a smart idea to fire up Patrick Mahomes?
Yeah, I'd probably say not. We don't spend a lot of time here with puppets.
Okay, so let me ask you a question real quick.
Shout out
Greg.
to Jonathan Jones at CBS.
Because I'm going to show a graphic. It's very simple, but it also is telling, and that is playoff wins in the Raiders stadium. Because right now, the Chiefs, of course, famously have 1, and the Raiders have 0. Honest question. Since, you like what they're doing, Antonio, you can punch him in the mouth, all of it. How long do we think it's going to take until the Raiders lead this category? How long? If I were to say to you, it'll be 10 years before the Raiders have more playoff wins in their own stadium than the Chiefs do. Because keep in mind, for them to do this, they will need to almost assuredly win their division, which the Chiefs are in, and then win a playoff game. I'll go as far as to say, I bet right now the Chiefs win a playoff game in that stadium again before the Raiders do. Either another Super Bowl, or if the Raiders somehow host it as the division winner, the Chiefs are then the wild card in the playoffs and beat them. Like, how long? If I were to say, will they do it in the next 10 years, would you take that bet?
That they would have more
playoff wins. That the Raiders will have.
Kind of tough. Wow. I'm gonna be honest.
Well, I mean, so what are we talking about? So why?
10 years?
So
Just take 10 years.
Here's the thing. Sometimes, so when I was in Green Bay, like, obviously the Bears are a rival of the Green Bay Packers. The Lions look at the Packers as a rival. The Vikings look at the Packers as a rival, and in some ways they are, dividing the states. But when I got to the Packers, or when I got to the Vikings, it was the oddest thing to me that the whole idea was beat the Packers. And I'm looking like, what? What do you mean beat the Packers? And the reason why I'm saying this is because that's kind of how I see the Raiders. I'm not saying that they're going to win championships.
Right.
That
they
did
win a championship by beating the Chiefs on
that's
Christmas
kind
Day.
Of where they are.
But that's my point of what I said. They've won in. Listen. They've won 2 championships since Mahomes came in the league, and then they went in massive droughts right afterwards because they celebrated them both like championships. They took a lap around Arrowhead after beating the Chiefs, and now again, we'll see if they're going to have a drought after this one. We haven't seen anything yet. But the Kermit thing concerns me greatly, and also, of course, obviously, listen, Dusty's not here, so Bryn, intern Bryn, her final day. We had a great intern class this year, by the way. Great job by them. I mean, obviously on the board. By the way, this is the young man who did it, Trey Taylor, Ed Reed's cousin. I didn't know.
I'll give him a pass on that.
Ed Reed's cousin, Air Force guy, 7th-round pick. I'd like to like the guy. Unfortunately, this is now what he'll be known for. Kermit and Trey Taylor, you're obviously on the board. Like, what are you even thinking? What are we doing? And this is going to be the gift that keeps on giving. Because in November, when we have forgotten about this, and the Chiefs are 12-1, What are you disappointed?
I thought that this was going to warrant their own half of the bulletin board.